Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about a deeply frustrating and all too common scenario. It's the experience of the person who is trying to do everything right. You've cut out the obvious sugar. You've swapped the white bread for whole wheat. You're choosing salads for lunch, and you're resisting the dessert menu. You might even be exercising regularly. Yet, when you check your numbers, your fasting blood sugar is still stubbornly high. Your energy crashes in the afternoon, the cravings for carbs are a constant battle, and that stubborn weight around your middle just refuses to budge. It's a situation that can make you feel like your own body is working against you, a feeling of being stuck in metabolic quicksand. If any of that sounds familiar, I want you to know you are in the right place, because the solution often lies not in more restriction or more willpower, but in uncovering the hidden forces at play.
We are going to pull back the curtain on 3 specific habits. These aren't the obvious villains like soda or candy. These are subtle, often normal, and sometimes even perceived as healthy habits that are the hidden reason your blood sugar stays high. We're going to go deep into the science, but in a way that is clear and empowering. We're going to connect that science to your real, lived experience, so you can have those aha moments where everything suddenly clicks into place. This journey isn't about blame or shame. It's about gaining a new level of understanding of your own biology, so you can finally stop fighting your body and start working with it. By the end of our time together, you will have a clear roadmap to address the true root causes of blood sugar dysregulation, moving beyond the frustrating cycle of just managing symptoms. Before we can expose these 3 hidden habits, we must first build a crucial foundation of knowledge. Most of us have been taught to think about blood sugar in a very linear way. You eat carbohydrates, they turn into glucose, your blood sugar goes up, and your pancreas releases insulin to bring it down. And while that is true, it is only half of the story. It completely ignores a second, incredibly powerful system that regulates your blood sugar. A system that has nothing to do with the food you just ate. This is the internal manufacturing of sugar by your own body, primarily by your liver. Your liver is like a storage facility for glucose, holding it in a form called glycogen. It can release this stored sugar into your bloodstream whenever your body needs a quick burst of energy. Even more remarkably, your liver can create brand new glucose from non-carbohydrate sources, like amino acids from protein, in a process called gluconeogenesis. So the critical question is, what tells the liver to do this? What flips the switch for this internal sugar production? The primary signal comes from a hormone that you've likely heard of, but may not fully appreciate in this context. That hormone is cortisol. Cortisol is your body's main stress hormone. Its evolutionary purpose is brilliant and essential for survival. Imagine our ancestor walking through the savannah and suddenly encountering a saber-toothed tiger. Instantly, the brain signals the adrenal glands to release a flood of cortisol. Cortisol's main job in this moment is to provide immediate, life-saving energy for fighting or fleeing. It does this by telling the liver, "Emergency! Dump all available sugar into the bloodstream now." This surge in blood sugar provides the muscles with the fuel they need to respond to the threat. In this acute, short-term scenario, it's a perfect system. But here is the monumental problem. Our modern biology is the same as our ancestors, but our stressors have changed dramatically. The saber-toothed tiger is no longer a rare, life-threatening event. For many of us, the tiger is now the constant chime of incoming emails, the pressure of a looming deadline, the financial worry that keeps us awake at night, the frustrating traffic on our daily commute, or the emotional toll of a difficult relationship. These are not acute, short-term threats. They are chronic, low-grade stressors that are present day after day. This means that, for many of us, the cortisol signal is never truly turned off. We are living with a constant, slow drip of cortisol, which is sending a persistent signal to our liver to keep releasing sugar into the bloodstream. This is the missing piece of the puzzle for so many people. You can be eating a perfect low-carb diet, but if your body is under chronic stress, your own liver could be the source of your high blood sugar. It is this fundamental principle, that stress, via cortisol, directly raises blood sugar, that underlies the 3 hidden habits we are about to explore. This brings us to our first habit, a ritual that millions of people start their day with, often believing it's a healthy or disciplined choice. We are talking about the habit of starting your day with coffee on an empty stomach, often while skipping breakfast entirely. On the surface, this might seem like a smart strategy. You're saving calories, you're maybe even practicing a form of intermittent fasting, and the caffeine gives you that much-needed jolt to get your day started. But when we look at this habit through the lens of our hormonal biology, a very different picture emerges. A picture of a metabolic car crash happening first thing in the morning. Let's break down what is happening in your body. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are naturally at their highest point of the entire 24-hour cycle. This is a normal and healthy rhythm known as the cortisol awakening response. It's what helps you feel alert and ready to start the day. So, you are already starting with a system that is primed with cortisol. Now, you introduce your first substance of the day, coffee. Caffeine is a powerful stimulant. One of its primary effects is that it signals your adrenal glands to produce even more cortisol. So, you are now pouring gasoline on an already burning fire. You are taking your natural morning cortisol peak and artificially spiking it even higher. This amplified cortisol surge sends a powerful, screaming signal to your liver. Emergency! We need energy! And your liver dutifully responds by dumping stored glucose into your bloodstream. The result is a significant rise in your blood sugar, even though you have consumed 0 calories and 0 grams of sugar. You have manufactured your own blood sugar spike out of stress. Now, because you are skipping breakfast, there is no food coming in to manage this process. There's no protein, no fat, no fiber to slow things down and provide a stable source of energy. You are literally running on stress hormones and internally produced sugar. This sets up a volatile blood sugar roller coaster for the rest of the day. That initial caffeine and cortisol high is often followed by a mid-morning crash, as your body scrambles to deal with the blood sugar spike. This crash leaves you feeling shaky, irritable, and plagued with intense cravings for quick energy, which almost always means refined carbohydrates and more sugar. You reach for a pastry or a sugary snack to pull yourself out of the slump, which then spikes your blood sugar again, leading to another crash in the afternoon. You've created a vicious cycle of instability that started the moment that coffee hit your empty stomach. Doing this day after day contributes significantly to insulin resistance, as your cells are constantly being bombarded with glucose and insulin in a state of high stress. The solution is not necessarily to give up your beloved coffee, but to fundamentally change its timing and what surrounds it. The goal is to anchor your morning in metabolic stability, not metabolic stress. The first step is to hydrate before you caffeinate. Start your day with a large glass of water, perhaps with a tiny pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon to help with electrolyte balance after a long night's sleep. The second and most critical step is to eat a proper breakfast before your coffee. And not just any breakfast. Your morning meal should be your anchor, built around protein, healthy fat, and fiber. Think 3 eggs cooked in butter with a side of avocado and spinach, or a bowl of full-fat Greek yogurt with a generous helping of nuts, seeds, and berries. This type of meal provides a steady, slow-release source of energy that stabilizes blood sugar and blunts the cortisol response. It tells your body that you are safe, nourished, and not in a state of emergency. Then, you can enjoy your coffee, either with your meal or shortly after. The food in your stomach acts as a buffer, slowing the absorption of caffeine and preventing that sharp, dramatic spike in cortisol. This simple shift in your morning routine, from starting with stress to starting with stability, can be one of the most profound changes you make for your metabolic health. Now let's move on to our second hidden habit, a saboteur that works its destructive magic under the cover of darkness. We are talking about the habit of neglecting sleep. In our modern hustle culture,
Sleep is often treated as a luxury, an inconvenience, or even a sign of weakness. We are encouraged to rise and grind, to burn the midnight oil, and we tell ourselves we can just catch up on the weekend. This mindset is not just misguided, it is metabolically devastating. Poor sleep, both in quantity and quality, is one of the most powerful and direct drivers of high blood sugar and insulin resistance, and its effects can be seen after just one single night. The connection between sleep and blood sugar is deep and multifaceted, but it starts, once again, with cortisol. Your body's stress system and sleep system are intrinsically linked. A healthy cortisol rhythm involves levels being high in the morning to wake you up and gradually declining throughout the day to their lowest point at night, allowing you to fall asleep and stay asleep. When you don't get enough sleep, this entire rhythm is thrown into chaos. Your cortisol levels don't properly decline in the evening, leaving you feeling wired but tired, and making it difficult to fall into the deep, restorative stages of sleep. This elevated evening cortisol continues to signal your liver to release glucose, leading to higher blood sugar levels throughout the night and a higher fasting blood sugar number when you wake up. This is a major contributor to the often confusing phenomenon of waking up with blood sugar that is higher than when you went to bed. But the damage doesn't stop there. Scientific research has shown that even one single night of partial sleep deprivation can induce a state of insulin resistance in healthy, young individuals. Your cells, particularly your fat and muscle cells, become less sensitive to the signal of insulin. This means your pancreas has to work harder, pumping out more insulin to do the same job. Over time, this is the exact pathway that leads to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. Furthermore, lack of sleep creates a hormonal storm that directly impacts your appetite and cravings. It causes a significant increase in the hormone ghrelin, often called the hunger hormone, which drives your appetite up. Simultaneously, it causes a decrease in the hormone leptin, which is the satiety hormone that tells your brain you are full. So, after a poor night's sleep, you are biochemically programmed to be hungrier, less satisfied by the food you eat, and specifically to crave high-calorie, high-sugar foods, as your brain desperately seeks a quick source of energy to compensate for the lack of rest. It's a recipe for metabolic disaster. Reclaiming your metabolic health, therefore, requires you to make sleep a non-negotiable priority. This isn't about weakness, it's about strategic recovery. You need to become the architect of your own sleep sanctuary. The most powerful strategy is consistency. Aim to go to bed and wake up at roughly the same time every single day, even on weekends. This helps to anchor your body's internal clock, or circadian rhythm, which regulates the release of all your key hormones, including cortisol and melatonin. The 2 hours before your designated bedtime are the most critical. This is your wind-down window. During this time, you must manage your light exposure. The blue light emitted from phones, tablets, computers, and TVs is particularly disruptive, as it directly suppresses the production of melatonin, your sleep hormone. Stop using these devices, or, at the very least, wear blue light blocking glasses in the evening.
Dim the lights in your home to signal to your brain that it's time to prepare for sleep. Your evening routine should also include activities that actively lower your stress levels. This could be gentle stretching, reading a physical book, taking a warm bath or shower, listening to calming music, or practicing meditation or deep breathing exercises. Avoid intense exercise, stressful conversations, and work-related activities during this wind-down window. You also need to be mindful of what you're consuming. Stop eating at least 3 hours before bed to allow your digestive system to rest. Avoid alcohol in the evenings. While it might make you feel drowsy initially, it severely disrupts the quality and architecture of your sleep later in the night. By creating a consistent, relaxing bedtime routine and optimizing your sleep environment to be cool, dark, and quiet, you are not just improving your rest, you are performing a nightly reset for your entire hormonal system, directly improving your insulin sensitivity and lowering your blood sugar. This leads us to our third and final habit, a piece of advice that was once considered the gold standard for weight loss and health, but is now understood to be profoundly counterproductive for anyone with blood sugar issues. This is the habit of constant grazing, or eating 5 to 6 small meals throughout the day. The theory was that this approach would stoke the metabolic fire and prevent you from getting too hungry. In reality, for a body that is already struggling with insulin resistance, this is like constantly picking at a scab that is trying to heal. It guarantees that your metabolic system never, ever gets a break.
Let's revisit our core understanding of insulin. Every single time you eat, with the exception of pure fat, you trigger a release of insulin from your pancreas. It doesn't matter if the food is a healthy snack like an apple, a handful of almonds, a rice cake with peanut butter, or a small yogurt. The moment that food is digested and glucose or amino acids enter the bloodstream, the insulin signal is switched on. Now, imagine what happens when you are eating every 2 to 3 hours. Your first meal triggers an insulin response. Before that insulin has had a chance to fully recede and your system has a chance to reset, you introduce your mid-morning snack, triggering another insulin response. Then comes lunch, followed by a mid-afternoon snack, then dinner, and maybe even an evening snack. The result is that your insulin levels are elevated for virtually all of your waking hours.
They are on a constant, relentless drip, never getting the opportunity to return to a low baseline level. This state of chronic, elevated insulin is the very definition of what causes and worsens insulin resistance. Remember our analogy of the cell as a resident in a house and insulin as the person ringing the doorbell? If the doorbell is being rung every hour, all day long, the resident eventually becomes completely deaf to it. The cell becomes desensitized to the insulin signal. This is a state of perpetual energy storage mode. When insulin is high, your body's ability to burn its stored fat for fuel is effectively turned off. You become locked into being a sugar burner, reliant on the constant intake of food for energy. This is why grazers often feel like they need to snack. They experience a dip in energy a couple of hours after their last meal, because their body cannot efficiently access its own fat stores for fuel, creating a dependency on the next snack to bring their energy back up. It's a self-perpetuating cycle of eating, spiking insulin, blocking fat burning, crashing, and then needing to eat again. The solution is to shift your mindset away from constant feeding and towards creating distinct meal windows and periods of metabolic rest. The goal is to structure your day around 2 or 3 well-constructed, nutrient-dense meals, with nothing in between but water, plain tea, or black coffee. The key to making this sustainable is the composition of those meals. Each meal must be built to provide long-lasting satiety and stable blood sugar. The most effective way to do this is to build your plate around what I call the PFF model: protein, fat, and fiber. Adequate protein is essential for satiety. Healthy fats like those from avocados, olive oil, nuts, and seeds provide a slow, stable source of energy and have a minimal impact on insulin. Fiber, primarily from non-starchy vegetables, slows down digestion, stabilizes blood sugar, and nourishes your gut microbiome. A meal built with these components, for example, a large salad with grilled chicken, a variety of colorful vegetables, and an olive oil-based dressing, should comfortably keep you feeling full, energized, and mentally clear for at least 4 to 6 hours. This extended period between meals is where the magic happens. This is the time when your insulin levels can finally come down. This metabolic rest signals to your cells that the emergency is over. It gives them a chance to clean house and regain their sensitivity to insulin's signal. It also allows your body to finally switch from being a sugar burner to being a fat burner, tapping into your stored body fat for a clean, stable source of fuel. If you are currently a chronic grazer, the transition can be gradual. Start by improving the quality of your snacks, then work on slowly extending the time between your meals as you learn to build more robust and satisfying main plates. Embracing these periods of not eating is as important as the periods of eating.
It's the essential rhythm of rest and activity that your metabolism needs to heal. So let's bring it all together. We've uncovered 3 hidden habits that keep your blood sugar high. Starting your day with a stress spike from coffee on an empty stomach, neglecting the profound metabolic reset of quality sleep, and keeping your insulin levels constantly elevated through grazing. The common thread that weaves through all 3 of these habits is stress. Whether it's the chemical stress from caffeine, the physiological stress from sleep deprivation, or the metabolic stress from constant eating, each one of these patterns is sending a continuous danger signal to your body, disrupting the delicate hormonal balance that governs your blood sugar.
The path forward is not about adding more complexity or restriction to your life. It's about removing these hidden stressors. It's about shifting your focus from just what you eat to when and how you live. It's about anchoring your morning in nourishing stability, not frantic stress. It's about honoring your biology by making sleep a sacred and non-negotiable part of your health practice. And it's about giving your body the precious gift of metabolic rest between well-constructed, satisfying meals. I want to empower you to see that you have far more control than you think. This isn't about a battle you have to fight. It's about a rhythm you get to restore. Your body has an innate and incredible capacity for healing. When you remove these obstacles and begin to work in harmony with its natural design, you create the conditions for it to find its way back to balance, stability, and vibrant health. Thank you for your time and your attention. You are worth the effort it takes to feel well.